It's honestly it's the platform that I hate the most currently.
Yeah.
In its current incarnation. And some of that, I mean, it's not just about censorship and what rises to the top or not, just due to the nature of their algorithms. I've never liked what the way that Twitter functions is to inherently reduce people's ability to converse into very, very small pieces. And while that's cool if you just want to post a picture of your like fancy meal that you went out on a date and just had, a great cheesecake or something, it's really, really bad for actually having like intellectual conversations with anybody. So I've always hated it for that reason. And what a lot of people do to get around it on Twitter is just like these aggressively long threads. But of course, those threads are broken up in your feed. So you don't always know if you're getting all of the information. And then on top of that, you've got all these other issues of Twitter employees deciding what is or is not acceptable, what should be banned, what shouldn't be banned. And of course, a lot of this is predicated on their own personal judgments. There have been some really, really interesting interviews. If you look at Twitter's trust and safety team going on Rogan from about a year ago, 2 years ago, something like that. I mean, the stuff was telling then. I mean, like the way that they were describing why they made certain decisions was purely based on their own preferences and their own understanding of what was or was not offensive, was purely their values in play. And that seems really dangerous, but it seems doubly dangerous when it's a black box, when you have absolutely no idea what the algorithm is or why it accepts certain kinds of things and not other kinds of things. So this idea of transparency in the algorithm is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
To me,
that could be, if it works and they actually do it, that could be a game changer, because social media companies, as I'm sure everyone that gets on any of them are well aware, they copy each other quickly. TikTok worked. Oh, guess what? We got Twitter Reels. We got Instagram Reels. We got YouTube Shorts. We got Facebook Shorts. Like everyone, they all copy each other. So if the transparency in the algorithm works and the Twitter booms and more people are using it and it evolves into a more functional site.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to take long for people to be like, hey, Facebook, why isn't your Instagram algorithm transparent?
I think that idea of like open source with the algorithm, and it doesn't even have to necessarily be open source. It just has to be transparent, I think is the key, because what happens a lot of the time is, like Paul was saying a minute ago, like you'll have a post get blocked or restricted or whatever. And first of all these things are done, fundamentally they're all automated. So you really like, you have to start from the position of understanding that like it's a robot doing all of this stuff. You have no idea if a human being ever looked at it or thought about it or reviewed it in any kind of way. Most of the time that's never the case. And then you have no means of recourse, because one, you don't know what was blocked about it. You don't know what it objected to. So you can't go back and fix it the next time. So that's always a problem. But secondly, you have no means of sort of calling out the company itself if the reason for your restriction was itself not a good reason, right? Because you have no idea. And all they will tell you if they review your work and adjudicate it in the negative for you is they'll just go like, well, we reviewed it and we found that the algorithm got it right and you're still banned. Okay, but what did I say that was wrong? What was the determining factor here? Well, they don't need to tell you that because it's all completely opaque. I really, really, really like the idea of transparency in this stuff, because I really like the idea of being able to actually publicly discuss whether or not these rules that are affecting millions and millions of people are good ones. And how can you have a discussion about that if you have no idea what they actually are? All we are left with is just trusting the trust and safety team at Twitter to make good choices for millions and millions and millions of people. But why would we assume that they would?